Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. Good morning to some of you, depending on where you're at, where you're located. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's presenters are leaders at ADR Vantage, a premier national conflict resolution firm with over 30 years of experience partnering with Graduate School USA to deliver this webinar and the PMC course. Tara Taylor is an ADR Vantage managing director, a conflict resolution expert, and a longtime mediator, coach, and trainer who has mediated hundreds of workplace conflicts, has directed several government and non-government mediation programs, including 2 decades running Maryland's first statewide civil rights employment mediation program. Melinda Ostermeyer is a director of programs, former head of 2 nationally recognized dispute resolution programs in the DC courts and in Houston, Texas. She has trained hundreds of mediators and evaluated the performance of mediators across more than a dozen countries. Together, they bring over 55 years of experience and have trained hundreds of federal employees. I'm pleased to hand it over to Tara.
Hello, friends, and welcome to your lunchtime webinar. So happy to have you. Thank you, Amanda and Shige, for being here to support and kick us off. If you just walked into the room, you're in the right place. We're loving to have so many of you here. Please feel free to, in the chat, drop the sector or industry in which you work, or you can drop the name of your organization. Happy to have that. And feel free to scroll around and see all the folks who are here and where they work, because I love seeing, Melinda, all these people who are interested in mediation from different corners of industry, which is really exciting. Yeah. All right, so we're going to get kicked off. I appreciated Amanda's lovely introduction of Melinda and I. Melinda and I are fortunate enough to work at ADR Vantage together for a number of years, and we have both been deeply involved in the dispute resolution world. If you're new to ADR, alternative dispute resolution, mediation is one type of ADR, and we'll be talking about our professional mediation certification and also highlighting lots of other things for you. So before we get started, I want to take a quick temperature in the room since we can't see your faces. We're going to ask you to choose an emoji from the react function at the bottom of your screen that reflects how conflict feels to you in your current workplace. And if you're not working, think back to the most recent one. So if you don't know Zoom that well, if you hover over the bottom, there they are, and you click on the 3 dots for more, it will give you a little button that says react, and it's got a little heart. The react, click on it, and it'll have all your emojis. So if you just sent your emoji, send it again so everybody can see it.
Exactly.
Send
Yeah.
it again.
I'm
Yes.
always interested in the one that looks like the explosion.
Yes. Oh, there's right. I know there's
Right?
happy
Yeah. Oh,
ones.
some
Oh,
thumbs
wow.
up. All right. Hearts. Woo.
Wow. That's great. What a spread. I saw
Yeah.
lots of what I'm going to call like surprised or not sure faces, the the shocked or yeah, so
Exactly.
we had good. Yes. Carleaf and Amanda are putting them in the chat. Perfect. Amanda, I don't know what it means that you've got sunglasses on. Either you don't want to see the conflict or you're keeping
Exactly.
your cool. Yes, thank you all for adding in if you just joined us where you're what organization you're with. So as you can see from those emojis, and we'll remind you where they are if you're not sure later on today, but all those different emojis are really in line with how I think about conflict as well, that there are all these different emotions we feel when we think about workplace conflict: shock, surprise, excitement when it goes well, appreciating it maybe for an opportunity to work through challenges, maybe a little bit of trepidation and fear, and it's quite a mix. There's a lot going on. So I think that's the right place to be to understand how do we harness that and really talk about how mediation can be an effective way to walk through all those emotions to help get some resolution. So we're going to do our first poll of the day, and Shige is going to populate it on your screen. You see it on the slide, but you also should get a pop-up where you can select one of the options to tell us how prepared do you feel to handle conflict situations that you actually face at work? How prepared do you feel? This is kind of a different question, not how skilled, but how prepared, how ready do you feel to handle conflict situations you face at work? Take a second to vote. If you've never had a Zoom poll, it's super easy. This little white box pops up, you vote, and in just a few moments, the amazing Shige is going to share with us the results, and we'll see where you fall. Oh, there we go. I love it. Yeah. What honesty. I really appreciate that. And look at the spread. Most of you fell in the middle, like mostly prepared, but there's still some things that catch me off guard. I'm somewhat prepared. Maybe I'm getting by, but maybe I don't know what I don't know. And then definitely there's folks on either end, very well prepared, and some who feel like, I really could use more, right? I'm underprepared. So interestingly, the gap between all the emotions you all said you feel and how prepared you are to address it is there, right? There is this gap between how we feel about it and how prepared we are to handle it. And that's really where mediation and mediation skills that you learn in a certificate course can fill that gap and help give you what you need to feel as confident and ready to address conflict either day to day or in a formal mediation setting. So go ahead and close out that poll. Thank you, Shige. That's terrific. We'll always show you the poll on the slide as well as in the pop-up just for the recording later if anybody wants to view it. So now that we've kind of done that, I think that Melinda and I are really going to focus today on how do we arm you with the skills that you need to be a mediator. And we're going to walk you through the quick agenda here to tell you some other tidbits we're going to share. So we truly believe mediation is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. Yes, in the workplace, but also in life. So you'll hear us make that parallel again and again. Our agenda today is going to cover mediation across all sectors. You'll notice we've got lots of federal agency folks in the room. That's terrific. We'll give you a little highlight on how this works for you, but also in the private sector, in nonprofit, in community settings. So we'll talk about all of it. We're going to give you the benefits of getting a professional mediation certificate. We're also going to give you a little sneak peek at some of the skills that you would learn in a formal mediation course. We're going to talk about interest and reframing negatives, 2 core skills for mediators. We're also going to give you all the course details, I promise, everything you need to know about signing up. And then we'll have a Q&A time at the end and also preview for you, or give you, actually not preview, but we're going to show you some of the other conflict management related courses that are available through ADR Vantage and Grad School USA. Just in case you're not quite ready to sign up for this course, but you want to take another one, we will share that information with you. So I'm also going to ask for Amanda to drop into the chat a handout that you can download and take with you. It'll also be available to you after this, and we'll drop it in here a few more times. But the handout is a PDF that includes everything that we talk about today and a little more, but you can refer to it anytime you need. And I think what's really exciting about this is that this particular course, the Professional Mediation Certificate, is not just a participation class. It really is a nationally recognized professional certificate that you can add to your resume, you can add to your skill set. And I'm very excited to have you all be part of this right now and be here to learn about it. So Melinda, I think you're going to move us on to talking a little bit about why mediation is so important and the impacts of conflict on organizations today.
I am. What I would like to do is before I talk about the impacts of conflict, it's really why mediation matters and therefore why mediators matter, right? Why it matters that you might get this certification. So I want to start with a very brief story with my really good friend Wallace, who wasn't always my really good friend, but I met him first when I was doing a mediation certification training. And some of the feedback in this training, you'll get a lot of personal feedback, right? You'll have an experienced mediator person sitting there coaching you, helping you think through what you did that worked, what you might want to do differently, how your affect hits other people, and lots of feedback in lots of different ways. So it really is a developmental course. But anyway, so Wallace was in the midst of this, and as a trainer, I said something to him along the lines of his demeanor impacting how present people might feel he is, how that, he really needs to learn to listen and hear what people say and why they're saying it. So he took that and called me back in a couple of weeks and said, I really tried to develop this one discrete skill. And I practice it in my personal life, professional life. Now I get it. Now I know how to do it without thinking about it. And thank you very much, because it's really changed a lot about who I am and how I am, which was great in and of itself. But I want you to know that Wallace went on to be the mediation training manager for the DC courts. He went from there to be an ombuds at the Pan American Health Organization. He was an ombuds and a mediator for the World Bank and for the IMF. So it not only did it change his relationships in this one way, it changed his entire course trajectory. So again, it does happen to people. They sort of get the bug, if you will, and make some significant changes. So I want to go back now to the cost of conflict, right? Why mediation is important, therefore why mediators are important. And we know a massive amount of time is spent. 40% of managers' time, we understand through research, is dedicated to dealing with conflict in the workplace. And nearly half of the people do not feel prepared to handle it. We know that conflict is rising year by year, by 25% increase since 2008. So it's rising, and it is in the workplace. We know that a lot of people, never me, never ever me, but are really taking active behaviors to avoid conflict, right? I'm going to cancel that meeting because I just don't have the energy to deal with it. Or I'm going to take the elevator because I see the guy that I really don't care for too much walking down the hall. I'm going to be quiet in this meeting just so, nothing happens. So we all engage in that kind of behavior. I'd love a thumbs up if anybody in this room has either engaged in that kind of behavior or feels like these statistics are real to you on a day-to-day basis. So I see one thumb up, a couple of thumbs up. I think most people, if they were honest, unless they lived in a really conflict competent organization, are going to see these statistics really play out in life. So I want to go on and go to another poll of, if there's a lot of conflict, can we pinpoint where it's happening? Is it supervisor employee within teams or coworkers, leaders, having issues between each other, HR complaints, EEO, union, all of the above? Where do you see, or where do you identify your conflicts in your organization might be coming from? So that poll is open. Let's see what it says.
Just a reminder, if you don't know where to click, it's right on that white one that popped up for you. Select as many as you want.
I'm always so eager. Shige has such great pacing of how long to keep the poll open. I'm always like, come on, what are the results?
Well, we got 60 people who are thinking hard about this.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, a little bit all over the board, but certainly supervisor, employee, sort of, really people to people issues are happening all over the place. And then some of the HR complaints, the EEO discrimination, which may be formal or informal, as might be the union or non-grievances, all of the above. So it is happening. We want you to know that in the certification course, you will get practice with all these types of cases, right? There's a mediation process, there are mediators' discrete skills, and you apply those to a variety of situations, which may cause you to act and react a little bit differently, but you'll get exposure to all of this. So thanks, Shige. Want to talk a little bit next here, sorry, my things, around the Federal Administrative Dispute Resolution Act. We do have a number of people here who are federal, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but there is a framework, so to speak, that authorizes the use of ADR, mediation being a primary process, has agencies wanting them to adopt policies and promote ADR and have specialists included in terms of contracts and other kinds of situations. So in the federal government, you will find a lot of agencies who do have internal mediators and have formalized ADR programs or initiatives going on, which this certification could likely allow you to work in as well. So lots of different things there. And so I think we want to just talk a little bit about the term mediation. We're throwing it around like everybody has the same term, and Tara, we know that's not the case, right? So when we use this term mediation, it is really simply defined as a voluntary conversation guided by a neutral third person, the mediator, who helps people in conflict find their own resolution. No judge, no ruling. The parties really decide. And we take more of a facilitative approach, meaning the parties are probably the best people to figure out what to do, right? And so rather than evaluating or telling or suggesting, the skill, the art, if you will, is to help people to understand what's important to them, why, and how they might be able to get that through the mediation process. So, Tara, I'm going to turn it over to you about a little bit more about why mediation and federal workplace or workplace examples and things like that.
Sure, sure. Yeah, it is interesting, right? The federal sector is required to promote the use of alternative dispute resolution, as Melinda mentioned, and as the act requires all the way back to 1996. But there are a lot of other reasons that mediation is used or encouraged in lots of other organizations outside of just the federal government. So I wanted to just share a few of those with you. Melinda, if you click forward, yeah, thank you so much. We're right on the same page. So we've found, and research shows, that organizations that have strong mediation programs consistently report a few of the same pieces of data. The first one is, if you have a good mediation program, you usually have fewer formal equal employment opportunity complaints, right? Fewer formal EEO complaints. And that's a good thing for the organization to save in time, money, and resources. Also, these programs find consistently that when they use mediation, it's a shorter time to resolve the conflict at hand, right? So that's saving, again, time, resources, focus for the folks who are involved in the conflict. In addition, there's lower litigation costs, or you might avoid the litigation costs or the administrative costs altogether if you can get the conflict resolved at a lower level and sooner. And then also, there's higher employee morale and retention when there are successful, strong mediation programs within the workplace, within the organization. Folks feel heard, they feel like they have a process they can trust. And interestingly, and particularly, when individuals have to continue to work together, so employees who have to go back to work, or a supervisor and their supervisee have to go back into the workplace, mediation, even if they don't get the absolute resolution that was perfect, they feel that they trust the process, and it helps them reset and repair the relationship. So hopefully it doesn't derail their relationship in the future, and it doesn't wind up as another complaint and another complaint that escalates over time. So lots of different benefits to this. With all the recent sort of reorganizations in not only the federal government, but in other sectors, and recent layoffs and mission changes that are happening, priorities are shifting in a lot of organizations. This is a moment right now where skill differentiation matters enormously. This certificate is what can set you apart on your resume, when you're going for the next job, when you're looking for a new place to land. This one sings out, you've got skills that not everybody else has in the workplace. So let's talk a little bit about workplace conflict. We're going to talk about this certificate in the workplace context. However, all of the skills you learn in the certificate course can be applied to your day-to-day, your family, your friends, your community organizations, other groups you belong to. But workplace conflict has always been around. It's not a new thing, but there is definitely a steep rise occurring in conflicts at work. particularly because of some of the things I mentioned, right? Shifts in the demographics in the workplace, the global political environment we're in, hybrid and remote workplaces are still playing out, and a lot of AI and technology shifts. So all of that is causing more and different conflicts and a greater demand for mediation and dispute resolution. So at the same time, the conflict is going up. And Melinda, if you wouldn't mind clicking, right? The capacity is in trouble. We don't have enough qualified mediation professionals to meet the rise in workplace conflict. And honestly, this is where you come in, right? Certified professionals can serve organizations either internally as in-house mediators. You might work in an organization or an agency that has that, and this certification will make you qualified to in-house mediate. Or for a company or an agency or places that have external mediators who come in and mediate employment disputes. So you can serve that capacity in a lot of different ways. And quite frankly, and Melinda, I think we know this, all organizations are looking for people who have the skills to recognize conflict early and to resolve it at its lowest level to save that time, money, and resource, right? You're the person who's going to have those skills to help out any organization.
Absolutely. I just want to interject a little bit. Some organizations might refer to it as facilitated conversations, or something else, which Tara might talk about in a minute in terms of some of the clients we work with. But the process and the skills are the process and the skills, and they can be applied formally in a mediation, and very informally in helping people to move forward in their relationships or their conflict. So,
Yeah,
sorry, Tara.
terrific point. Terrific point. So why don't we share at least a couple of examples of where mediation's being used? ADR Vantage has been around for over 30 years, and so we've been mediating and supporting a lot of different organizations. So we have sort of some stories to tell about conflict that happens in workplaces. So we thought we would share from a couple of different sectors, government, nonprofit, private, where you might see mediation exist. So the first one I thought is a great example. Melinda and I have both spent many years, probably 10 plus years, working to support the Transportation Security Administration, TSA. That's one of our government clients, and they actually have a peer mediation model. So not only do we serve as subcontracted mediators to mediate employment disputes for them, but we also help train TSA employees to be mediators so that they can serve as in-house mediators. And what's really interesting, a lot of agencies do this because they know if you train employees to be in-house mediators within your own workforce, those employees know the culture, they know the lingo, they know the way the system works. And so conflict resolution happens faster and more naturally and more sustainably with those in-house mediators. Lots of other agencies use it, but TSA is a good example. So let me give you an example in the private sector. So we also have a pretty significant mediation program for the U.S. Postal Service, UPS, right? The brown trucks that show up and deliver for you. They use mediation for a wide variety of interpersonal conflicts, employee complaints, EEO, and other grievances. UPS, we've been doing this for a long time, and about 70% of the cases that mediate are resolved. And we've got about a 95% satisfaction rate, even when the case doesn't resolve. And that's really interesting. And this is true for all of the programs that studies show even when a case doesn't settle in the immediate, parties report feeling that they were treated fairly and that they felt heard. And so that sense of fairness, whether you get a formal agreement right the day of mediation, that goes a long way because people want a fair process, right? That's what they're looking for. And that's what mediation brings. So lastly, I'm going to share an example of nonprofits because certainly we use that in a lot of nonprofit settings. In particular, we work with very large membership-based associations who might have smaller branches or smaller chapters or individual members. And we provide mediation between employees, between supervisors and managers, all to get towards increased collaboration, cooperation, and less time and money spent on conflict. So good examples. You might have some examples of places that you know where mediation is used. Feel free to drop it in the chat. I think it's great to just understand it's out there and being used in a lot of settings.
Karen, can I just underscore one thing that sort of satisfaction with the process
Mhm.
over the settlement rate? If you're shopping around for different certification programs, folks have different perspectives on this. Ours is that we strive for that satisfaction, that understanding, that workplace relationship that is more than likely going to continue into the future over settlement rates. So it's a different art, a different focus, a different process, takes a bit more patience in my view. But just again, in terms of spearheading, what difference our programs from others.
Great point. Great point. And we've got a chat question there that I'm going to get to in 2 seconds. Tekle, I promise, 2 seconds. And forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong. But very quickly, just knowing everything that you just heard, use your emoji button to give me a thumbs up if you know of organizations that you think could benefit from having trained mediators, internal to them, or honestly, even externally. Yeah. Give me a thumbs up there if you think you know of some organizations that could benefit from this. Yes, yes. Yeah, Carleaf is saying my local government organization. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, lots of thumbs ups. Okay, so let's talk about that, right? Where else could mediation exist and who else needs mediation? And how's that relate to the certificate course? So if we jump ahead, let me talk a little bit about the benefits of being certified and where you can actually use your certification. Yes, thank you, Juliana. It's used widely in courts, state, local, federal court. So yes, great example that we're going to touch on. I just want to remind everybody, this is a nationally recognized credential. You're going to get a professional accredited a certificate from an accredited institution, Graduate School USA. In addition, you're going to receive continuing education units or CEUs that you can use toward your professional development if you're in an industry that requires that, social work, HR, legal, right? Oftentimes your profession requires continuing education every year. So you get CEUs from an accredited institution. If you are in HR in any fashion, we are also a Society for Human Resources Management, SHRM, recertification provider. So you can get almost all of your yearly professional development credits from taking our course. So it's pretty exciting. And I love, love, love when people tell me, I put that on my resume and I feel like I just have this skill that no one else has.
On
Absolutely.
LinkedIn, you see it. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great mention, and I'll mention it again later, but you will receive a Credly badge that you can put on your LinkedIn page so that you can show that you've got this certificate. You'll get a professional certificate like the one that's on the screen, and you'll really be able to tout this as an additional benefit that you have, an additional skill that you have. So I love that everybody in the chat is telling folks where mediators are also needed. So let's hop to that next slide and we'll touch on this really briefly. So, as some of you have mentioned, where does this recognition mean that you can mediate? And our course totals 40 plus hours of mediation training. That either meets or exceeds what most programs require for you to be a mediator. So, for example, state courts, as Juliana mentioned, right? They typically require somewhere between 20 and 50 hours of mediation training. And so you're going to meet the standard, obviously, with our certificate. Also, federal agencies, as Melinda said, have internal ADR or mediation programs. And under the ADRA, the Administrative Dispute Resolution Act, they're required to offer that. So it exists across the federal government, but also in state and local governments. I ran a program with the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights that handled workplace discrimination disputes for almost 2 decades. And we had a roster of certified mediators who mediated those cases. Courts also maintain a roster of qualified mediators. And then also, this qualifies you as a mediator in national mediation associations. So the two big ones are the Association for Conflict Resolution, ACR, and the National Association of Certified Mediators. So this credential meets their ethical requirements and their standards for the number of hours. So you'll be set Sandra, how much does it cost in your handout? We'll drop it in here too. Absolutely. I'm gonna be right up front with you. $34.99 is for the 7-day course. Gets you everything, all the materials, role play coach training, one-on-one role plays and scenarios, and your certificate along with your Credly badge. So let me also mention, and thanks for asking that because I'm going to make sure you get all the details. If you are in any kind of people-centric role, again, you're going to get a toolkit of skills as well as a big manual that we provide. But this honestly will help you in any complaint situation, hostile environment complaints, limiting legal exposure. HR is all about limiting risk, right? Managers, supervisors should all be about managing risk. And so this will obviously contribute to your toolkit. In addition to that, even if you're not HR, if you're a manager or a team leader or you're an individual contributor, even if you never mediate formally in your current job role, you're going to use these skills in every team meeting that you're in performance conversations, in difficult conversations with colleagues in the hallway. These are skills that translate beyond just your day-to-day job. And lastly, I think that this certification really advances across all positions, regardless of whether you're in management, you're in a people-facing role, client-facing role, public-facing role. You're going to serve as a trusted internal resource,
So,
right? That's okay. You're also going to be able to serve on community and organizational mediation rosters. There are a lot of county and state community mediation centers that serve. You can also start your path to your own mediation practice, your own firm. And really, this is a high demand professional credential for your resume and for your portfolio, as we've mentioned. If you're a consultant or you're looking to be a consultant or a private contractor, this is a great way to get into that field of work. Yes, absolutely, Sandra. No problem at all. And the handout, I'm going to ask Amanda if she would drop it in one more time. The handout has all of this information in it as well, but we're going to give you a little bit more. So lots of folks in the federal sector. Melinda, I wanted to just maybe let you mention a bit more.
yeah, the only thing, and I'm not even sure that this is applicable to anybody, so we're going to spend 2 seconds on it. But if you're on a federal senior executive track, this certification also fits every one of the ECQs that you're required to have on that track. And it's just showing that it's really also a leadership development tool as well as this interpersonal tool as well. Want to look at specifically what you'll learn in the course. And let me tell you, it is all these different things, managing emotions, co-mediation, et cetera, et cetera. You can read them up here. The bottom line is this is very skill-based. If you want to hear about mediation theory, don't come here because what we really focus on are a 7-stage process, very learning very discrete skills, and we're going to kind of go over a couple to play with you a bit here that we think are very, very important. And a lot of practice, as we mentioned before. We have the coaches that are going to sit in with you with small group role plays that will simulate all different kinds of workplace conflict. People tell us over and over and over again after the training how real the role plays are. People have details on how to play a role, etc. So it is very experiential, to say the least. So also, just starting out at day one, this is a bit things that you know, but you're going to build credibility. Tara talked about that go-to person. Cannot tell you how many people I know that are mediators in organizations who are not mediating, but are people that are go-to, and folks that have key conflicts go get advice from them. They might do a little conflict coaching with one person, help them figure out what their interests are and things we'll talk about. But really, that sort of when conflict arises, you're going to be somebody people are going to consult with and go to. Being able to really do it in real time in meetings in the halls for yourself, asking better questions to dig deeper on all kinds of topic, not just conflict related, but otherwise. And that trusted neutral in the organization that can stabilize things. So lots of different things. We are going to focus a lot on positions and interests in the mediation certificate course. It is one of the key factors, and those of you that are already sort of in the biz know this, um, that, a position is really what somebody comes in saying they demand or they want, right? And getting at their interests, which are their underlying needs, what's really important to them, what are the concerns they have, the why behind they think that one position or solution is what has to happen, is where the real beauty and magic happens. And so in a training, we're going to spend a lot of time having you figure out and help others figure out this idea around interests. So while we've already said in the real training things are going to be much more interactive in this webinar frame of reference, we wanted to kind of play with you a little bit with a scenario and see how you might look at the different options in a poll we're going to give you and what you think they might be the interests. Again, an uninteractive way to get an interest. It'll be more interactive in the certification, but to give you a hint. I'm going to read a scenario and then I'm going to put the poll slide up and ask Shige to put the poll up. But let me read a scenario. Be listening for interest. Oh, here we go. Shige got that up already. Let me just get my slide so it's all joined. Okay, so the scenario is we have Taylor and Jordan. They are both on a project team and have had some recent disagreements. They agree to go to mediation, and during the mediation, Taylor says, I need Jordan off this project. Every time I bring something to the group, Jordan shoots it down and undermines my credibility in front of the whole team. I cannot work with him. All right, so what might Taylor's interests be in this setting? Choose which interests you think, and you can select more than one, all that you think are apply, are her interests. Taylor's interests. What's important? Shige, is the poll open? Tara, I don't hear you anymore.
I think everyone was deciding that they had to.
Okay, great. I
Okay.
just want to make sure we're
Yeah.
all the technology is open on that end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see Carleaf put theirs in the chat. And Carleaf, you can actually click on the poll, but maybe you don't have that capacity. So thanks for dropping your answers in.
Here we go. All right, look at this. Okay, this is an A plus group, right? Nobody chose the last one to be removed from the project, which in fact is a position that came in, right? That was the one solution that was going to work. But once you find out and consider all the other things, which are in fact interests, being heard, respected, having contributions taken seriously, functional working relationships, protecting their professional credibility, all of those are things. Now, they all might not be equal interest, right? What's more important than something else? You help the person figure that out, and then that might lead them to different options or solutions that address what's most important to them while considering what's important to the other guys. So great, great, great. We're going to shift one more skill development taste, so to speak. Tara, you're going to take it away with reframing.
Yeah, good job, team, on the interests. Absolutely. So we're going to go a little step further and try what we call reframing. And some of you may know of this if you have any exposure to mediation or conflict resolution. So if we hop to the next slide, I'm going to give you just a little preview of what reframing is. So reframing is a mediator skill of taking a negative or an accusatory, emotionally charged statement and restating it in a more neutral, interest-based language. So it kind of shifts from the blame and the yuck to what the person really is interested in, what they need, what's important to them underneath, right? Their underlying interests and what they want in the situation. So it's an art form. It takes a little more finesse, especially when people just say paragraphs and paragraphs of information to you as a mediator. You have to listen hard. So I'm going to give you a quick example, and then you're going to get to practice with another poll. So here's the example. Somebody says, my supervisor never gives me credit for anything I do. I work twice as hard as everyone else, and it's like I'm invisible. So when a mediator restates that, it sounds like recognition for your contributions is really important to you, and you're hoping your supervisor has some greater awareness of what you do. In that sentence, it's the same message, but there's no judgment, and it kind of opens the door for possible discussion and resolution rather than kind of shutting it down, right? And hammering in on that negative accusatory stuff. So we're going to go back to the scenario that Melinda just read to you about Taylor and Jordan. And let's imagine that the mediation is continuing with them. And Jordan suddenly says, Taylor is loud during meetings. He's completely inconsiderate and has no respect for anyone. Now you're in the mediator seat. What do you think is the best reply that a mediator could make that reframes what Jordan just said? You get one choice out of those four. So take a sec. Think, think, think. For those of you seeing me, I'm in Maryland, so I have a Maryland flag cup that keeps coming onto my screen. Absolutely. Yeah, take a second. Which one is the best reframe? Thank you for my emoji person that laughed at me. All right. Okay, so this one we had a little spread. Nobody chose number 3, right? Which was interesting. And we'll talk about why in a second. Most of you chose B, which is actually the most correct answer. So yay, team. However, some folks chose A and D, the last one. So what I love is that most of you were gravitating towards B, and some of you probably thought about B too. B really takes the blame and the emotional charge out of it and kind of reflects right to the underlying request in a neutral way. Sounds like you're requesting that Taylor keep his voice down during meetings, right? So it takes out all the yuck and really cuts to the interest. Now, interestingly, A was one that a lot of you were drawn to. It's not terrible. However, it does kind of take it to labeling somebody as inconsiderate. And, Jordan didn't say that. And so we don't want to put a label of being inconsiderate or disrespectful on the person, right? Then as a mediator, they don't see us as very neutral in the process. C, nobody chose, which is great, right? Because it kind of reinforced the blame in the past. And that last one, D, I can get why you might select that one, but it could be heard as kind of a leading question with some judgment, right? Like, is that really realistic that you'll do this, right? So, again, terrific ideas, and I'm glad you all participated in this. This is exactly the type of stuff that we will really dig into because that was one sentence. Can you
Right.
imagine somebody talking for 10 minutes and doing it? Yeah.
Yeah. And just one point out, actually, Jordan did say that Taylor was inconsiderate, but
It re
rather than picking up that negative word and playing it out there, trying to
right.
play it out. So
Yeah.
it's tricky because it's beyond just restating what you've heard. It's doing a little magic with it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. So that scenario is just an example of workplace friction between coworkers, but it's one of dozens that we would practice in the course. We have very specific role plays that really play out very common workplace dynamics. And I think this is a perfect time then to talk about all the other logistics of the course. So I think
hmm,
we're doing a quick
yeah.
poll. Yes, we are. One more poll. So based on what you've heard so far today, what do you think would make enrolling in a course like this easier for you?
Just to let you know, this is your last poll you can participate in. So please join us one last time.
Somebody's eating lunch and doing the poll at the same time, but
I
we
know, I
appreciate
mean,
it.
I know.
We appreciate it. Yeah,
We can't see you doesn't mean we're not going to make you work.
that's right. Right now, today, what would make enrolling in this professional mediation certificate course easier for you? Just to give us a sense, we can give you some more information. And we'll just take a second more. Thank you all for your participation in the chat too. I appreciate.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Yes, this is very common to what we see, right? Most of you said training or budget funding. And then the supervisor approval right behind that. And then I see like kind of a tie here for some people, like I might need more information or yay to the person who's ready to register. And then scheduling. So let me just try to address this real quickly because this is important to know. If training budget or funding is really the core barrier, we often suggest if your organization can't afford the whole tuition costs, we have a lot of participants who split it with them, either half half or they do two-thirds and you do one-third and you self-pay for some portion of it. We can also do installment payments so that you can spread it out over time. Another thought is that if you think enough people in your organization might want to get this training with you and you want to find out, we do group rates, group discounted rates. So you can reach out to us and absolutely, we can figure that out for your organization. For federal employees that are here, the SF 182 process is actually simpler than most people realize. So reach out to us, put a note, we'll tell you how to contact us. We can work all of that out for you. And don't forget, if you are required to do some sort of professional development in your role, then you may have professional development funds that are separate from training funds. So just all things to think about. I like to tell people that $34.99 is often the cost of going to a conference once a year when they pay for your hotel, your travel, your per diem, and the conference fees. But this is actually like a lifetime certification, right? It's not a one-time conference. You're getting this as a lifetime certification. So really good for them to invest, but also perhaps for you to invest in yourself. If the supervisor approval is the hiccup for you, we also can help for that. We have materials that are prepared that you can share with your supervisor to show what the return on the investment is. And we're also happy to speak to members of leadership who might be interested in this. So again, contact us. And scheduling, I understand that's a tricky one. What's great is often these courses are offered over weeks and weeks and it's spread out. We do this in 7 days, 4 days one week, 3 days the next week. So you have a little break in between, but you're done in 2 weeks. This is not months and months of getting certification. You're done. And that's really important, I think, for a lot of people to make it happen. So let's go through the specifics of this so that you have it all sitting in front of you, piece by piece.
And just beware if the dates don't work this time, there'll be more dates, right? That we're going to
Yeah,
offer it again and again. So
absolutely.
watch out for that as you go
Yep.
forward.
Yep.
Sorry,
Yep.
I throw in
No,
there.
yeah, it's good. We'll tell you what they are and give you the link to that because we do cohorts throughout the year. So just a reminder that this course checks the continuing education box. I mentioned it earlier. You get CEUs that can be used for any kind of professional development or for whatever discipline you're in. You also, if you're an HR person, get your professional development credits, PDCs, almost the whole year's worth in this one course. Also, this course is fully virtual. You don't have to travel to get here, right? There's no travel time, there's no travel cost, there's no meals, there's no hotel rate. 7 days over 2 weeks. It's 9 to 4:30 every day. You get a lunch break, you get morning and afternoon breaks. So we really work with you to make it quick, but also super interactive. We've got a couple of upcoming cohorts going on, and Melinda's going to share. So the next two listed, one starts in June. And again, it's 7 days in that window of time. And then in September, Tuesday through Friday, and then Tuesday through Thursday. We also have offered it Monday through Thursday and Monday through Wednesday the next week. So if you check our schedule, you'll find out there's also a November course that's been added. So be thinking, whenever your fiscal year ends, you could potentially ask for this to burn down money that may be available in training budgets or professional development budgets.
Or over 2 fiscal years, right? With the payment
Yeah.
plan. Yeah.
Yes, that's a great point too. It could be spread over 2 fiscal years. Good thinking. So also a reminder that we do this in a cohort model. So we only allow a certain number of people into the courses. It's small and intentional because we want to give you the skills and let you practice it in real time with your trainers and with your certified coaches who are also mediators. So we're going to do hands-on simulations. You're going to play the role of the participants and the mediator. You're going to practice everything you learn. And so you don't want to wait too long to sign up because the small cohorts fill up. And then tuition, I think as Sandra asked us earlier, right? It's $34.99. Installment plans are available. You can work through the federal government process for the FS 182, all things that we can help with. You can drop it in the chat and or follow up with us because we're going to give you our contact information. And again, remember, we're talking a lot about the workplace, which is how this is geared, but every skill you're going to learn, you're going to use with your family, with your teenagers, if you have teenagers like me, with your neighbors, with your community groups, with your sports teams, with wherever you are interacting with people. These are human skills that are going to make you better at everything you do. So we're going to share dates of some of our other courses that are coming up. All this information on your screen is in the handout. We'll drop the handout one more time so you have it. We're going to tell you about other courses that are also fabulous for your skills, but aren't the full 7 days. So if you're not ready for this full certification course, we've got your back. We got other courses, but I want to take a few questions, Melinda, right now and see if we can answer anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do we want to do that through the chat or do we want to do the Q&A function?
We're just going to do the chat. We just let everything fly in the chat. So
Right. Well, wow. So drop your questions in the chat and we will ask you. We dropped the handout once again. It's the same handout, just with people come late or leave early, they might want it.
yeah.
I'm gonna, while we're waiting for folks to enter some questions, one question that I know we get a lot is this appropriate for someone with no mediation experience? And the answer is yes. If you haven't had any previous conflict management, never heard of an interest before in your life, have no idea what reframing is about, or on and on and on, do not worry. It is started from the basics, and you definitely will get an opportunity to learn everything you need to learn and practice that as well. So don't let that hold you back. If you don't have that, if you do, then you add some substance and experience and help in the peer learning process. So it works for both ends.
Yeah, yeah. I see a couple questions and I'm trying to answer them.
Okay.
Can this certification count towards your human resources? I forget what that stands for, Solomon. But it's another HR certification agency, organization like SHRM. So yes, you can absolutely submit the PDCs or the CEUs to translate to the HRCI credits. Absolutely. Will there ever be training like in the evening times or weekends available in the near future? Sandra, it's a great question. We would like to say, yes, we can accommodate all the schedules. I don't have one now, but keep checking because we on demand try to put the requests from folks like you into our scheduling so that we can account for that. So right now we don't have any. They're during the day and mostly because people are using this as a professional workplace certification. So they're trying to keep it on work time. But absolutely, we will put that request in. um, Feel free to drop other questions. Thank you. Thank you. Certification Institute. Thank you so much for putting that in the chat. Um, I think because there's a lot of folks here from federal government, we often get asked, like, can I use this certification to mediate outside my agency? So, like, if my agency doesn't have a program or doesn't need mediators, although lots of them do, can I do it other places? And yes, absolutely. So there is a federal government shared neutrals program that still utilizes federal employees from other agencies to mediate at other agencies. Also, depending on your state that you live in, there are different program requirements in different states, but we meet the requirements for the ethics, for the hours of training. So you're going to easily be able to take the certificate and use it in a court setting, in a private mediation program, in the civil rights program, like I mentioned. That's the mediators that we used, right? We didn't have many in-house mediators. We used external mediators.
Uh,
So.
If you have a question, drop it in the chat, but barring none, I think we should go ahead and move forward and give people back a moment or two of their afternoon or whatever time it is for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Are, but
Before you
yeah,
drop though, we're going to share some really good other courses coming up.
absolutely, yeah. Whoops, I cannot get my mouse to work. All right, so Tara mentioned some other conflict resolution courses. If you want to start in a different way and build your way up to a 7-day program, please note the days that are there. Also, lots of links in terms of our landing page that talks about all of our resolution courses, and you can get more information. But if you're a manager and you want to learn mediator type skills through a model we're calling Shift, what you can do it in one day. AI is everywhere, and so it also is in the interpersonal arena. We're learning lots about it. How to use AI to prepare for difficult conversations in a responsible, thoughtful way is in a 1-day course. The art of productive disagreement. So if you're not a manager, but you just want to learn how to be interpersonally more effective with folks, we also offer that course in a 2-day course. Very works for everybody, but also if you're in those more people-oriented positions, excellent. And then a 4-day work called Leading Work Groups That Work. It is also a certification course, and it is really well made. Lots of organizations have matrix organizations now, so you have task forces with people across the organization coming and people that are your peers, but yet you need to lead the work group forward, or some configuration of a group that is working that is outside of your traditional kind of intact team. So this is a way to really move those folks forward in the most productive and collaborative way possible. So those are some of the courses that we're into, and a lot, yeah, that's from you. All right, a lot more dates. So Tara offered to get in touch with us a couple of times. Please do. We are very much available to you one way or another. Both of us can be reached at the workbetter@adradvantage.com email address. And we both have access to that, and we'll pick up whomever. If you ask for Tara and or me, you'll get to both of us for lots of different questions.
Melinda, can I just quickly ask Amanda to also drop in the Graduate School USA contact email? If you've got a question about pricing, installments, group rates, anything like that, we're going to put a link into the chat so that you can reach out and we can work that out with you. You can certainly contact Melinda and I because we're also personally involved. We're also, we rotate in as the trainers for all of the mediation courses. So happy to answer it, but we'll have our Grad School USA partner, Amanda, drop in the email for graduate school if you've got questions about logistics. Thank you so much, Amanda.
And I think that wraps us up. We really would love to work with you in an upcoming course one way or another. And please contact us if you have any thoughts you want to share one way or another. Tara?
Thank you all. I look forward to seeing some newly certified mediators out there.
Absolutely, yes. Amanda, you want to take us on home with anything, or just to say goodbye?
No, you ladies did amazing. Thank you so much. This was awesome. It was great information.
All
Great.
right. Everybody have
Thank
a great
you.
rest of your day with 3 minutes extra. Take
Woo! We did
care.
it.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.